The Torah in Parshas Mishpatim describes the following scenario. A person sees a donkey which belongs to someone that they're not very fond of, and this donkey is crouching down because the burden, the weight that's on it is so heavy that it can barely even move. Now, whether one sees the individual who owns the donkey trying to lighten the burden of the donkey, or that individual isn't even present, the Torah says, Azov ta'azov imo, we have an obligation to go help lighten the burden on that donkey, and perhaps to help the individual who's doing the lightening themselves. We can't stand idly by. And if that's for a person that we're not very fond of, how much more so for a person that we do like, or a person that we don't even know? It's a mitzvah for a Jew to give of ourselves, to perform chesed. Rav Simcha Raz tells the story of a street in Yerushalayim on which Reb Aryeh Levin and his wife, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, lived. And there was a woman who would go from house to house on that block once a week, and she would do the laundry in the house. She'd wash the clothes, and she'd wash the sheets, and this woman had a number of children herself, and this was her job. This is what she did. So an individual saw this woman walking out of the house every day and would pass her on the street. And every day of the week, each week, when she walked out of the house of Reb Aryeh and his wife, so she saw that this woman had a particular smile on her face. And one day, she stops this woman, and she says to her, could you tell me why is it that every week when you come out of the house of Reb Aryeh Levin, you have a smile on your face like you don't have when you come out of the other houses? So the woman answers, this woman who does the laundry answers and says, look, I'll tell you, my work is very hard. I work very hard to provide money for my family. And when I do the laundry at Reb Aryeh Levin's house and his wife's house, it's not like any other place that I do the laundry. Why? Because when I do the laundry there, they pay me like everyone else pays me. But Reb Aryeh helps out with what it is that I do. So for example, instead of me having to carry the water to the place where I wash the clothes, Reb Aryeh carries the water for me. When there are some times that I have to bring my children, I don't have any place to put them, and I have to bring them with me, Reb Aryeh says, don't worry about your children. I'll feed them, I'll take care of them downstairs while you do the laundry upstairs. And so Reb Aryeh, when told about the fact that the woman was so happy, responded and said that there are two types of chesed that a person could be part of. There is chesed, kindness that a person could perform with their mammon, with their money, and there is a chesed that a person could perform with their guf, with their body. The chesed that one performs with money is very simple. Someone comes to us and tells us that there is a very worthy charity, we write out a check, we give our credit card number, we give them cash. Someone comes to us and says they specifically need money, we do the same. We fulfill our obligation of chesed by giving them money. That's one type of chesed. But Reb Aryeh said that there's a second type of chesed. And the second type of chesed is a chesed with the guf, with a person's body. And this chesed, this act of kindness, is not necessarily to a person who is poor or to a person who is asking for our help. Rather, it's even for a person that may be working for us. And this chesed, the chesed of the guf, of the chesed, the kindness of the body, is simply lightening the burden of that individual. So Reb Aryeh here, even though he was paying the woman to do the laundry in his house, wanted to make her job easier and realized that he can give of himself in order to lighten her burden. And so too, we can learn this lesson of Reb Aryeh Levin on so many levels in our own lives. And making sure that those who do things for us, we can make their lives a little bit easier, that we do so. So it's a straight typical example, we all go shopping. And so, for example, the cashier who is checking us out, after each item is put on the conveyor belt, they check it off, they ring it up. And then they continue to put the items on the conveyor belt so that they can be packed. So they have an obligation in most stores to go and pack the item into a box or into a bag for us. But if we want to pack the bags ourselves, we're also allowed to do so. That's an example of making someone's life easier, performing a chesed, a kindness for someone with our own actions, even though we're not obligated to do so. So walking behind and starting to pack our own bags is a mitzvah in itself, of performing a chesed, performing a kindness, where we don't have to. And that kindness doesn't have to be to someone who is in need. We can create for ourselves a situation of kindness by looking out for it, by seeking it, and perform that kindness with our own guf, with our own body, by lightening the load, the heavy burden of someone else, even though they're getting paid to do what it is that they do. So may we be zoche to search out opportunities for us to fulfill this mitzvah of being kind to other people, no matter in what scenario they are. And by doing so, we will end up refining our own souls and continue to do chesed in many different ways. Thank you for listening and have a good shot.